Hey, welcome back. It's Laura at Hyperstamper. I've got two junk journals to show you. They're very similar, so I wanted to show them at the same time. Similar but different. Does that make sense? So here they both are. One is on an antique book and one is on a vintage book. So both had completely plain colors, not even any writing on it. So I just thought I would cover them up in a really fun, interesting way using only real antique papers and photos and postcards, textures, lace, everything. So even that is an antique cash register button for 2 cents. Isn't that cool? On this one here, I've got antique lace, some Chantilly lace there, very, very old. And up here as well, some doilies, some tatted lace down here, hand tatted. And then this one has this wonderful flip out from an 1887 business postcard here. Is that wonderful? And then I've got this photograph here from the 1920s. I received it ripped like this, so I thought let's use it anyways. It's deserving of a spot on this cover. 1926 ledger sheet, early 1900s music sheet, a vintage snowbird dictionary piece, and more internal spine texture there. So that's the first one, and I just put all kinds of lace at the side to fancy that up. And then this one here, same sort of deal. I've got some antique hardware here, vintage dictionary page, interior spine, receipt from the 50s, early 1920s photograph. Look at the dress wear on these. Isn't that awful? These are original photographs. That's a piece from an old newspaper, but I love that it had the word smile and enthusiasm on it. A 1921 Baker's Cocoa advertisement. I love that. I punched this butterfly out of a piece of internal spine, so it's a wonderful texture. I've got antique lace here and here and here, and the tatting at the bottom. These are game pieces, the X and the O. I just pulled them from the box. There's about 100 different pieces in the box. I love it. Oh, look at this old book binding here with the staples. There's just a million staples in it. I'm very excited about these. I know I'm talking very fast because I'm excited, and that is the University of Knowledge 1937. So I'm going to show you really quick the insides, okay? Quick because otherwise this will be too long a video. So here we go. We've got 4 signatures in each. The original first pages and plate, 1937. This is an original plate or plate from a vintage art book there. So you can reuse that, peel that off. It's exactly how I got it. And this is from 1956, a music magazine page. Wonderful articles in here. And look at this on the other side. Oh my gosh, so much fun. Okay. And there, Freckles antique book page from 1904. Original page from this book. This is the front plate of another antique or vintage book from 1942. This is one of those wonderful pieces of that gigantic 1964 graduating class piece that was on board. I kept it on its original board and put it in this waterfall journaling spot pocket. An early 1900s perennials book photo there, and a vintage Betty Crocker cookbook page. This is from 1890s, the Sunday Reading for the Young. Really sweet centerfold there. I did some hand stamping on vintage children's book, school book pages. Look at that gorgeous, gorgeous iris and beautiful. This is a plate from the early 1900s. Wonderful clusters here. Hidden journaling spots. Another wonderful plate here. Just so colorful and vibrant. I made some really fun lettering clusters in this one. Another one of these wonderful letter writing for young ladies pages. Really fun read. This is from Marco Polo, a vintage book. Another one of those. This is from a children's school book page on vintage needlepoint, antique book page there. And there is a little pocket up here that you can tuck something in yourself. And this is a vintage postcard, really, really cool. And then this is a plate from an antique history book. Isn't that neat? Full color. That's a pretty one. A doily book from 1950, 1953 receipt from Campbell Candy. Yeah. And this is another fantastic magazine page from the 1950s, 1959. Carnations, milk fudge, yum. More recipes on the back. Go challenge yourself. Try to make some. How much fun would that be? And I'll just go quickly. Another photograph here of a little couple on a canoe trip. And then this is very special. This is from 1926, and this page in this magazine, actually, they give you this to cut out and put together this little booklet. And look how cute this is. Isn't this wonderful? It's really, really special, really, really rare, and I probably shouldn't give it away, but I want somebody to have this because I have already enjoyed it a lot. Antique book page here from the Harmony book. And I made a double pocket here with doilies, and I am going to stuff those, but I'm waiting for instructions on the purchaser to tell me what they'd like to put in there. And just some more fun antique and vintage pages here, 1950s. This is from the 1800s. This is, I have to show you this one. I'll take the time because it is spectacular. This is from 1895. Look at this. It is fantastic. Wow, look at the telescope, all things for seeing. And then this up here, look at this, all different ways to do framing and gifts. It's just spectacular. Tissue paper flower models. Wow. Just a real wonderful piece of history. Again, I've enjoyed it for many years, and I hope somebody else can enjoy it now. This is from 1925, art education book. That is Blue Boy, of course. Famous painting. And this is Minnesota from the 1920s. Just a little book page there with paper on the back for journaling, and more antique pages here with that wonderful embossing there. And 1925, look at that beautiful, beautiful colored picture. This is a plate from 1955 on embroidery, some vintage pieces here. Look at that old card, some banknotes from the 1920s, vintage Monopoly money. And that brings us to the end, another wonderful color plate here. Okay, so now let me show you the next one. Hang in there. Okay, this one's different, but similar. So this one has the 1950s highway road maps of America. Got the original. Oh, that's from Nature Studies from the early 1900s. Vintage clusters. I've got this wonderful vintage tokens. No, antique tokens and antique and vintage stamp, and a vintage glassine envelope, and the 1920s banknote there. 1948 bookkeeping lesson page. And this could be the pièce de résistance. It's the last one I have. I wasn't going to give it up, but look at this. Look at this Jello ad from 1926. Full color. They went all out, the Jello people. It's fabulous. And then this ad on the back for Ford. Look at that car, brand new, $520. This is probably worth some money, but again, I'm not as interested in that as putting together wonderful collections for other people to have, to really appreciate real, authentic, antique, and vintage ephemera. Okay, so more nature studies here. Look how cool is this one. This is also one I probably shouldn't be giving away. Frank Sinatra on the cover of Song Hits, 1950s. Look at that. Really, really cool. I know it's really worn. Don't be skinny. I love that. So there we go. A lot of fun to have. That is a really cool piece from an antique book. The ink from underneath came up through the page, and you can see it. Happy birthday, sort of like a ghost shadow with love from Mother, 1907. Pretty cool, huh? I love it. Okay, Frank, you're right side up. There we go. Another wonderful spot there to journal. And here, fun clusters. Here's another plate, and that is from Lady Tenderfoot, early 1900s. This is from the 1930s. This wonderful, wonderful children's book page. 1975, about 50 years old, from the Beacon Lodge attendance sheet. Antique paper here. Look at this. This girl does not want this soup. I love that photo. It makes me crack up. Look at this. This is one of the prettiest postcards I've ever seen because of those cherry blossoms. So this, of course, I don't have to tell you what this is, but look at that. It is gorgeous, and that is from 1955. Just stunning postcard. And then this is just a great interior book page from an antique book. I'm just so in love with this journal. Okay, so there's the Princess and the Tower, antique paper on the back. And then this is just a fun piece. I didn't even add paper to it for journaling because I thought you can, but I loved the little poem and I wanted people to read it before they covered it. 1953 receipt here from the baking company in Massachusetts. peekaboo journaling spot here, and then another wonderful 1890s book page here. Look at this wonderful bit with the dog. Crow's getting the doll. So funny. Okay, more. I'm going to go as fast as I can. Hang in there. 1930s. Another wonderful interior book page. Fold over. Another 1920s photograph of a mom and her two little girls here outside their home. That would have been a big deal to get your photo taken. And then I put in one of my dried flowers here, and I tucked it into this pocket I made out of an interior book spine. I love it. A wonderful 1890s book page here of a duck. And this is a plate from 1904. And that is English, the English countryside. Wonderful photo. What they used to call photocopying before photocopiers were a thing. I forget what they're called. Look at this awesome photograph of this woman on the beach. I was going to keep this for the beach journal I'm working on, but I just thought it was fun. I put it in here. And that is also antique paper there. Well, actually it's vintage. Sorry, I lied. This is also vintage paper from a Nancy Drew book. And I love the color and the plaid there. But now it's a journaling spot. And another wonderful book plate here. Texture, children's book pages, vintage dictionary page, vintage music sheet, vintage botanical sheet, and a wonderful antique fuzzy cardstock children's poem. I got this from a book. It was the cover of a book that didn't quite make it. And this is an English postcard from the 1920s. Really, you would have been well-to-do if you could afford this wonderful glossy postcard, and it is still in wonderful condition. The Happy Lover poem here from the 1800s, and I had to put that on another piece here because it was so brittle. A vintage bird plate, 1950s embroidery book, and this is just from the Library of 1950s Pearl Shop receipt, and that's all done on a vintage book sheet. 1949 bookkeeping plate. Here is a wonderful vintage card and a vintage book journaling page here. And then that is just a little plate out of a children's book. Little waterfall spot here for some last minute journaling before you hit the end of the book. Another wonderful set of poems, botanicals, and a vintage music sheet. All that and more. I'm putting those in my Etsy shop now. I hope you come back soon, and hyperstamper.etsy.com. Bye for now.